Friday, February 13th, 1976, 8 a.m. in the morning. Lagos traffic is already thick along George Street in Ikoyi. Inside a black Mercedes-Benz sits the most powerful man in Nigeria. No convoy, no armed escort, just his driver and one pistol carried by an orderly. In few minutes, he'll be dead. This is the story of General Murtala Ramat Muhammad, the man who ruled Nigeria for just 200 days and changed the country forever. Murtala Muhammad was born on November 8, 1938, in the Kurawa quarters of Kano City in the northern Nigeria. He came from a well-respected Hausa family in Kano State. He was educated in the prestigious Baruwa College in Zaria, a school that would go on to produce a striking number of Nigeria's future leaders. In 1959, young Murtala joined the Nigerian Army. He trained at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst in England, one of the most demanding military schools in the world. By 1961, he was commissioned as second lieutenant. Just 7 months later, he was promoted to lieutenant. In 1962, he was sent to Congo as part of United Nations peacekeeping force during one of Africa's bloodiest post-colonial crises. He was still a young man, but already he was being shaped for something bigger. To understand Murtala Muhammad, you have to understand the Nigeria he grew to serve. In January 1966, Nigeria's first military coup shocked the country. Many northern leaders were killed. General Johnson Aguiyi-Ironsi became the head of state. Murtala was furious. He believed the coup had targeted the north unfairly. Then in July 1966, he became one of the key figures behind the northern coup, the uprising that removed Ironsi from power. It was a very bloody, chaotic chapter in Nigeria's history, and it placed Murtala Muhammad firmly at the center of national events, barely into his 20s. At that time, he was just 27 years old. Soon after, General Yakubu Gowon became head of state. Then came the Civil War, the so-called Biafra War, from 1967 to 1917. Murtala commanded the infantry division of the federal side, one of the most intense assignments of the entire war. He survived it and he rose through the ranks. By 1971, at just 33 years old, he became a brigadier general, one of the youngest in Nigeria's history. By 1974, he was Federal Commissioner for Communications. He was working inside Gowon's government. But behind the scene, trust was already breaking down. On October 1st, 1974, General Yakubu Gowon made a fateful announcement. He postponed Nigeria's planned return to civilian rule, the handover he has promised for 1976. His reason: the politicians, in his words, had learned nothing and forgotten nothing. Many senior officers, especially those who had fought through the Civil War, felt shut out of power. Frustration was building inside the military. A group of plotters began quietly planning a coup. They approached Murtala. He didn't lead the plot outright, but he gave it his blessing and promised that if it failed, he would do everything he could to protect the plotter's life. Then they waited for their moment. On July 29, 1975, General Yakubu Gowon was away in Kampala, Uganda, attending a summit of the Organization of African Unity. While he was out of the country, the coup happened. It was bloodless, clean, and decisive. Yakubu was informed that he is no longer Nigeria head of state while he was in Kampala. The next day, July 30th, 1975, Murtala Muhammad was sworn in as the new Nigeria head of state. He was only 36 years old. What happened next was one of the most intense bursts of reforms in Nigeria history. Murtala moved fast, almost as if he sensed he didn't have enough time. He launched a sweeping purge of the civil service, removing thousands of officers accused with corruption and incompetence. Some call it ruthless, others call it long overdue. He restructured the government, creating new states to improve local administration. Bauchi, Borno, Benue, Imo, Niger, Ogun, and Ondo states, bringing Nigeria's total states to 19 states. It took federal control of universities that had been run by individual states. And on February 3, 1976, just 10 days before his death, he announced one of the most consequential decisions in Nigeria's modern history: the plan to move the nation's capital city from overcrowded Lagos to a new federal capital territory in the center of the country. The territory will become Abuja. He set up a panel led by Justice Akinola Aguda to choose the exact site. Murtala would never live to see it built, but his vision became reality years later under a new successor. On the world stage, Murtala positioned Nigeria as the leading voice of African liberation. He supported the MPLA in Angola Civil War and pushed for full independence of Southern Africa from colonial and white minority rule. It made Nigeria a serious player in Africa diplomacy, a legacy that would help later lead to the founding of ECOWAS. At home, he softened his own government grip, ruling alongside General Olusegun Obasanjo and General Theophilus Danjuma, moving towards consensus rather than pure command. That is, they make the decision together rather than commanding. And crucially, he promised something Nigeria hadn't had in years: a real restructured return to civilian democratic rule. By early 1976, Murtala's support for the MPLA in Angola has drawn the attention of Washington. On January 3, 1976, the American ambassador delivered a letter to Murtala from the US president, urging Nigeria to abandon its backing for the Soviet-aligned MPLA. Murtala was furious. He saw it as outside powers trying to dictate Africa's affairs. He ordered the letter published in Nigerian newspaper, and the military government publicly branded it as an insult. On January 11, 1976, he traveled to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia for an extraordinary summit of the Organization of African Unity. It was called specifically to decide where Africa nation would stand on Angola. And there, in front of the continent's assembly leaders, Murtala delivered the speech that would define his legacy. He accused Western powers of quietly siding with apartheid South African forces in Angola to preserve the white minority rule across the region. He urged that outside nations had no business dictating Africa's alliance or telling African states who their friends should be. And then came the line that would echo for decades. He said, and I quote, "Africa has come of age. It is no longer under the orbit of any extra-continental power. It shall no longer take orders from any country, however powerful." This is the first Nigerian leader demanding full liberation from the Western influence. The room reportedly fell silent. Within hours, the speech was making headlines across the world. It was direct, unmistakably warning to the West, Britain, the United States, and their allies to stay away from Africa's affairs. The continent, Murtala insisted, was capable of deciding its own future and would no longer be treated in its words like an adolescent who couldn't discern its own interest. This speech turned Murtala into a continental hero almost overnight, a symbol of Africa's self-determination at a time when most of the continent was still shaking off the legacy of the colonial rule, not knowing that he had only 33 days to live. By February 1976, Murtala was, by many accounts, the most popular leader Nigeria has seen in years. But not everyone was pleased with his reform. The purge had made him enemies. And within the military, the plot was forming. It was led by Lieutenant Colonel Buka Saka Dimka, On the morning of Friday, February 13th, 1976, Murtala has left his residence in Ikoyi, Lagos, heading to work along the usual route on George Street. Just after 8 a.m., his Mercedes slowed down near the Federal Secretariat. A group of soldiers emerged from nearby filling station. They opened fire on the car. Murtala was killed instantly, along with Lieutenant Akintunde and his driver, Sergeant Adam. He was only 37 years old. He had ruled Nigeria barely 200 days. Panic swept through Lagos. Streets emptied. Schools shut down their doors as parents rushed to collect their children. For a few tense hours, the country teetered on the edge of chaos. But Dimka wasn't finished. He had other plans for what to come next. Just before 8:30 a.m. that same morning, Nigeria huddled around their radio and heard a voice. It was Dimka himself, broadcasting live from the studio of the Nigeria Broadcasting Corporation, NBC. He announced that Murtala's government has been overthrown by what he called the Young Revolutionaries. He declared that all the 19 state military governors has been stripped of power. He ordered commissioners sacked, borders and airports sealed, and a nationwide curfew imposed from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. It sounded for a few hours like Nigeria had a new ruler. But something else happened that morning, something that would fuel suspicion for decades to come. Before that broadcast, Dimka made a strange stop. He went straight to the British High Commission in Lagos, and he asked to be connected to the former head of state, Yakubu Gowon, who was living in exile in British at that time. Through a military diplomat, he allegedly sent word to Yakubu Gowon to travel to Togo and wait for further instruction, as if he's expecting Gowon to return and reclaim power once the coup is succeeded. Word of that visit spread fast, and once Lagos learned that the coup leader first up had been the British High Commission, anger exploded onto the street. Students and civilians suspect foreigners had been behind the plot. They stormed and attacked the British and the American embassy. To this day, historians will still debate how much, if any, outside involvement lay behind Dimka's coup. But Dimka's moment of power didn't last. Loyalist force led by Chief of Army Staff General Theophilus Danjuma rallied the base of Bonny Camp. Colonel Ibrahim Babangida led the troops that surrounded the radio station. Dimka slipped away in chaos, but his coup was already crushed. Within days, the plot collapsed completely. Dimka went on the run, eventually captured in Abakaliki. He was tried and then executed for treason on May 15, 1976. Leadership passed to General Olusegun Obasanjo, who would go on to carry forward Murtala's unfinished plan, including the move to Abuja, and eventually the transition to Nigeria's Second Republic. Today, Murtala Muhammad's face look out from Nigeria's 20 naira note. Lagos International Airport carries his name. So do schools, hospitals, and roads across the country. He ruled Nigeria for just 200 days. Yet, more than 50 years later, Nigeria still speaks of Murtala as a symbol of what bold, decisive, and a patriotic leader could look like. He didn't get to finish what he started, but in 200 days, it changed the direction of Nigeria.